Hello, welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. And today we might have a few people watching, but only one person made it into the room. And so I'm welcoming Chakra, a dear friend of mine that I've known for over 10 years, to join me in a conversation. And Chakra is not going to be she's going to be live, but not live on the camera, and I totally respect that because it is a process to be speaking publicly. So just before I start to bring up a topic that I wanted to bring today to the hangout. I want to give a little retrospect on how this idea emerged. And this idea emerged for me in January after I felt so totally helpless of what was happening in the world. I had just come back from a trip to Pakistan, and I had been deeply imprinted by what had happened in Paris, the events that had happened in Paris. And that was like a calling for myself to do something about it, but felt very helpless. What can I do? I am just one person. But I had reached a stage where I knew that I cannot delegate the responsibility out there to somebody else. I cannot just say, well, let the politicians do it, or let this and this do it, they know better than me. Okay? I had to stop that little voice in my head that kept on saying, I'm still not ready, I'm still not good enough, I still don't know what I'm doing, I still need to perfect myself some more, I still need to heal myself a little more before I dare speak up. And I dare speak to what I see and what I know. I share my wisdom in a way, because I have been on that journey, that healing journey, for more than 40 years. I am not a spring chicken anymore, so it's about time that I dare express what wants to be expressed to me. And if all the women in the world who have reached that stage where they know they have something to say, will dare to come together through the heart and express a different message than the conditioned message that has been fed our civilization, human civilization, for millennia, something will change. But alone we cannot do it. We have to come together. So that was my idea when I started the Women's Wisdom Circle. And today's circle really had been scheduled at 10 in the morning to enable one participant from Australia to join, but she somehow didn't make it. I don't know. Sometimes technology is a big puzzle, and it's been a puzzle to me also. So just for the people who might be viewing, because I know there might be another lady viewing, and we'll welcome her. She is in Holland, and if she is listening and participating without being in the Hangout group, I'm just welcoming her, just like I'm welcoming all the other people who will be listening later on, because I know some people are listening to the Hangout videos on YouTube later on. So you're also welcome into that circle of wisdom, where we are trying to bring our individual gifts together and see what is emerging through the space of interconnectedness, and not just from the head. I mean, for me, it's been a journey from head into heart for the longest of time. And when during our first hangouts, we started to explore the origin of the disconnect, and we talked about the conditioning from the mind, the rational, and the mind is linked to the masculine, and that doesn't mean it's men, because we all have either we're men and women, we have a mind and we have a heart. However, the operating system of the human race has been on the mental plane for at least the last 2,000 years, if not longer. And so the rational, and especially, I mean, I might not be accurate totally in terms of the, the timing, but the mind structures in our cultures, and this is really not only the Western culture. Those mind structures are in existence in all the cultures in the world at different levels of consciousness. Obviously, they are not all at the same level, and that's another topic I would like to investigate another time, at another time. But what we have realized is that the rational aspect, which is the mind, has been ruling the affairs of the world, and it needs to come into balance with the more feminine energies, which are the heart energies. And when I'm talking about feminine energies, again, I'm not necessarily referring only to women, but it is something that women have naturally. Naturally, women, because we give life, we carry the children, we are connected to that heart space, to the space of caring, to the space of automatic collaboration. It is more like a circular energy, an energy that is inclusive, that wants to make things work. And the mind energy is more pointed, linear, directed, focused, and so the conversations, if I'm resuming the conversations that have emerged, is that mind needs to become a servant of the heart. So in other ways, it cannot be the mind who knows. It has to be balanced with the knowing from the heart. And we explored what it means to learn to take care of yourself rather than falling into the programs of how to take care of another or how to take care of oneself, which for many millennia, women had been operating in a program where we naturally are caretakers of the family, of the children, of the husbands, or of the society and the culture, and very often at the detriment of learning and knowing how to take care of ourselves. So what emerged, and this is something that I have been working on for more than just a few years, for actually the last, I would say, 20 years, is really, it is not like you take care of everybody else and then they take care of you. It is now a learning to take care of yourself, and everybody needs to learn to do this. Like, what are my needs? What is something that I want? Not what does somebody else want for me. What do I want? And how do I put that structure in place in my life so I can manifest what I want? And I'm not talking here about like, it could also mean material things, but I'm really talking about what do I need in terms of taking care of my psychic needs, which are the needs of belonging, the needs of safety, the needs of creativity, to express myself. And so those needs, if we don't know them, because we've never really learned to look inside of us, to read ourselves, to know what my specificity is, what my needs are, But I've only been focused on everybody else's needs at my detriment. For the often it is we are losing ourselves when we take care of others. And I've certainly done that in my life, so I know that pattern quite well. I've been healing those patterns for myself, so I know now how to be vigilant and take care of myself so that I don't fall into that imbalance, which then causes all kinds of reactive patterns where when we are not in balance, we start to become angry, resentful, thinking that we are missing something, etc., etc. So what emerged last hangout, which was the early part of the week, this is still resuming a little bit the trajectory we've been on for whoever is joining for the first time today, is we explored the source of the mind conditioning, which very often, not very often, it's actually almost always the family system and the school system. The culture we live in has a certain belief systems that we are just modeling by being brought up in that culture. Whichever culture, and I've lived in a number of different cultures. Originally, I lived in France, and I've been imprinted with the cultures and the values, and also all the shadows of the cultures of the French cultures, and more specifically a double culture, because I was born after World War II in a part of France which had been shifted between France and Germany too many times, for me to even remember how many times. So I've always lived in a double culture, and I've always been very sensitive or sensible, I don't know, sensitive, I think, in English, to what, to the differences. And at the time, I think it was 21 when I left France. I emigrated to Canada, and there I discovered like the North American culture, which is again very different, which in many ways had a lot more freedom, even though in France, the original country of the freedom of expression, there are still many structures which are patriarchal, dominating structures. So the patriarchal structures that are still running the world are the mind structures, the masculine ruling over the feminine. So we need to bring those energies into balance, and we can only do that by doing it ourselves, individually. It's an individual journey. It's a hero's journey, really. We each have to do that work on ourselves, free ourselves internally, intrapsychically, of those structures. And once we have progressed on that journey of freeing ourselves, then we are in a position to speak up in the family system around us and model a different way, rather than model an automatic way of behaving that we have just seen through the hey, hello.
I made it work. Hello.
Hello, Ali. Did you have trouble? I was just talking by myself here because I know there's Hada is having trouble with her internet, and she just jumped off. She had warned me, and you were not here, so I said, well, let me just babble along by myself. Hello, glad to see you.
No, you have audience. Good to see you.
We had set this up for you to be able to join the Hangout, Yeah. So, and, I was just, I don't know whether you had been listening offline and had just had trouble coming in, but basically, I was just resuming, the journey we have been on. I mean, the group has been on for the last, months or so, because it's not
Yeah.
been going on for very long so far. And what I was reflecting is I think it was on, when was it, on Monday? Monday we started to talk about the how that mind conditioning is taking place in human consciousness. You know, the school system, the family environment, and we realized, you know, a few. What we realized, there need to be other things taught in the family environment, in the school environment, that is not just the rational, the cognitive, you know, like emotional skills and social skills, which are different from the programmed skills, have to be also included in the curriculum part. And certain schools, certain systems have that more than others. You know, but this is really a must to become like a whole human being. You need to have the 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 spirit, the mind, and the heart aligned and working in balance, and being to be a whole human being, you know. So for that, and we have also explored that on a number of occasions, for that there is a need to heal all those shadows that we still hold unconsciously, that whenever we want to do something that breaks us from what we have in the conditioned mind, will create this resistance, and will create this this pain, you know, really. So I want to invite you maybe to respond to what you have heard so far. If you are ready to start a dialogue with me, Ali, I would welcome that, instead of me just keeping on blabbling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you're absolutely hitting the spot here, Eileen, because I am a mother of two, and it's the things that I'm thinking about all the time is what should I teach them as a parent? Because the reality is, for now, I am hearing about schools in Australia that, you know, incorporate a more holistic approach to learning.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, I just don't feel like right now is the right time just yet for me to take my children into the alternative school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm kind of following my gut here with that one, because, you know, they're still generally considered to be less strong academically, and I don't know. I'm kind of trying to find this balance between the education that I think is right for my children, but also making sure that they are still embedded well in this reality. They can still find their way, and they're not too out there, if that makes any sense. But I'm really grateful for the fact that the stuff that you're talking about is becoming more and more available, and it's becoming more of a norm. And I'm doing what I can with the school that my child goes to in trying to bring more of the awareness about, you know, more of a holistic approach to education. And I think in my mind, you know, the reality is, with the speed of change that we are experiencing today, it becomes harder and harder for us to understand what to teach our children at school when it comes to subject matter. So it almost like more and more it becomes more, it makes more sense to start teaching them self-awareness rather than any particular subject. because there's so many things that are changing and shifting around them. By the time they graduate from school, maybe some of the stuff that they learned wouldn't even be relevant. So in that sense, I think teaching them more about what you are talking about, how to align, your spirit, in a sense that, you're knowing about who you are and what you're here to do, and your mind and your heart to teach you how to communicate your truth, to teach you how to connect with other people. And I would include the body into that mix as well. It's how to communicate with your body, and just to complete that mix, I guess. But generally, it becomes clearer and clearer to me that this is actually the essence of the learning that we should provide to children in school, rather than being focused on a particular subject matter, because the subject matter keeps changing.
Absolutely, yes. And what there's two things I want to respond to from what you are talking about. One question I posed on Monday is, who does the traditional, let's say, cognitive education benefit to? I mean, the school system really formats people. It puts them through a system where they get formatted. And this, and I have to kind of say this, because I just know too much. I cannot shut up anymore. It's I'm right now. I'm talking about North America, okay, because it's kind of out there, but this is happening everywhere, really everywhere, where I think it was in the I don't know whether it was in the 80s, but you had the economist Friedman and the CIA and whatever, and they were taking leaders from South America and bringing them into North American school, formatting them, and then sending them back to their countries. And then they had formatted people that they can easily control, that easily fit into the mindset that they want them to have. So it's much easier to direct people when they have the same formatting. I mean, that is maybe. Yeah. It's not even an extreme. I think this has been going on under the radar of most people's consciousness for a very long time. So that is one. That is maybe that is one extreme. Okay, but on the other hand, and this is what you were also saying, as a parent, we have had this formatting because we have been in schools, and we have also had the family upbringing with the values more of a heart-based values. And eventually that's the journey that we are all on, the journey of growing up into a whole human being, where all those ingredients of the body, the heart, the mind, and the spirit kind of get balanced and get, sometimes this balancing happens because we are really out of balance for quite a while, and then suddenly that makes us wake up. Sometimes, most of the time, people wake up because they have a disease or there is a dysfunction in the body, and that makes them question if they are not blindly then following the other formatting that is also been going on for a long time, which is the experts, okay? And this is still, this is a big discussion right now in France, where, just a few days ago I was listening to a program here where they had people which had a diagnosis of maybe 2 weeks to live. The experts, the doctors, the experts, the professors, and again, minds, okay, huge minds who have all their reputation at stake, telling somebody you're going to die in 2 weeks. There's nothing we can do for you anymore. And that person survives. So what was, you know, what happened there? What happened there? How come that person survived? How come the body healed? There's something else, and we should wake up to that something else that is way beyond that mind programming that has been running, you know, the affairs of the world, really, waking up to that. So that is just one thing I wanted to say. And then the other thing is, yes, I have also put my daughter into traditional school systems, basically because at the time there was no alternative system where I was living at the time when she was going to school. There was only the traditional school systems. And yes, she had a different education because I was a much older parent for her and I kind of conveyed different things. And earlier last year and this year even, you know, she was going through like a crisis because he's in law school right now and is there again you have that formatting, you know, the A+ students, the excellent academics that are very successful, but there is something in this balance, you know. And this came up last week or 2 weeks ago in our discussion where I think it was Aline in the UK who had the similar thing going on with her son, where really what I told my daughter, and there was the same thing that she had experienced with her son, is like, they have to follow their heart. Yes, they got the education, the formatting, but really, what is guiding you, what should be guiding you, is what you deep down know. And that spirit speaks to the heart. And this is your guidance system. This is something that will put you on your path. And it's something you discover a step at a time. It's not something that you can map out as a goal and then you know it, and then you just map out a strategy and a plan to get there. It doesn't work that way, you know. And that's the feminine way. The information emerges from the field, from the circle, and it emerges gradually. You get information to the heart that really you feel it in your body. You feel like a yes in your body when something feels good, and then you follow that, you take that step without knowing whether that step is going to take you where you want to go. But trusting that this is how it works. And this is the new education that needs to come through, that more people know that trusting their heart and their instinct, their intuition is what they need to learn. This is the learning that needs to happen right now. Trusting that dimension. That's what kind of emerged for me when I heard you speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very, very interesting subject matter for me. And it's yeah, it's exactly right. It's, I think for me, I guess the way I choose to live my life these days is to acknowledge the fact that exactly because everything is changing all the time, including me, there is no point in ever stop questioning everything you know. So it's quite literally, you know, you wake up every morning with a question. So what, you know, what else can I discover today? You know, you're trying to tap into what you've called a field and go, okay, so what's different today? What can we create today which was not possible yesterday?
Exactly.
And just kind of keep moving and keep questioning, because it almost seems like education, the way it's perceived normally, is actually limitations. We teach our children a whole bunch of limitations about the world.
Yes.
And then we give them a diploma to say that now they've graduated because they know about all those wonderful things that prevent you from doing things.
Yes. The format.
And
they're formatted. They're conditioned.
That's what you're saying, exactly. So it's like, this works like that, and that works like this, and this is the end of the story. So now go and, I don't know, I'm not even sure what the message is really. It's like, okay, now you've trained about all those things that you cannot do, basically, you know? And my question is, how can we leave them with even larger questions, with being able to ask even larger questions than when they started, even deeper questions to when they started, and just kind of keep evolving and keep growing and keep developing? Because it's interesting, you know, people talk about the middle age, what's the word, like midlife crisis, or all of these kind of horrible nonsense that is out there. Well, if you live in the paradigm that I've just described, where your learning is just all about learning about limitations, then no wonder by about 45 you kind of go, well, there's nothing else to do here, you know? And that makes perfect sense. That this is what some people are experiencing as their reality. But, you know, you can choose to just be in a different paradigm. And you can choose to be guided by your heart and your spirit and continue that journey. And in that way, you know, you wake up in the morning absolutely energized, because it's so exciting. It's like every day is like you're kind of born anew. You know, oh, but what else can I do today that wasn't possible yesterday? And it just takes you in a completely different place.
Yes. Yes. And what is emerging for me, it's like living in the question. You know, if whatever is going on for you is not satisfying, then ask the question, what is it that I want, really? And the answer might not come right away because of that program, that formatted program running in the background, unconsciously, subconsciously. So you might not readily know what you want. You know what you don't want, usually. Start with that and then ask, well, what? And that's where you are beginning to confront all those limiting voices. You're beginning to make them conscious. They begin to emerge. Okay? And the other thing that you know I wanted to say, I mean, two other things that I wanted to say is like, when you do this, you are actually using the capacities of your mind, which in a way has access to everything. Access to everything. And you know, it's that part, I don't know whether it's in the amygdala or whatever it's called, the reticular activation system in your brain. So when you're asking a question, then that part of your brain will start kind of searching like a GPS for the answer. And you will be attracted to see things that are probably around you already that you don't see, just because you don't ask the right question. You know,
Exactly.
you would be starting to see answers coming through the field because it's all is out there. It is just your formatting that is blinding you to the truth, your truth. That is if you start ask a different question and live in the possibility of a different answer than what you know, this different answer will emerge. That's the creative process that artists have been living by. But we have to become the artists of our life and create our lives. And how do we do this? By asking different questions. That's what you were saying. Really. The other
This is very, very... Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Because the other thing I was emerging is like you were saying, things change all the time. Things are constantly, yes, but this is again something that is not taught in that basic formatting that we are just energy. You know, this that we are a being that has chosen to have a human experience on in a three-dimensional world where we are very limited by the physicality of it. But really, when you know who you are, that we are really energy at the beginning, then energy is constantly on the move. There are so many experiments, scientific experiments, that when you start to question your formatting and your program, and you start to investigate what exists already in the edge knowledge, in the edge science, then you change very fast from that limiting program when you start to investigate this. Energy changes all the time. And what you focus on, you will manifest, because you're focusing your energy on something. Just test it out with small little things. Don't believe what I'm saying, just just test it out. That's the best. Test it out.
It's very interesting. Oh, I think we had somebody else join us.
Anna has been able to connect back. She has internet connection problem. I'm going to ask her if she wants to say something later. But let me just. You wanted to say something, Ali, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's so I'm so grateful for this discussion. It's evolving in a very. It's interesting how these things are always tend to gravitate towards each other. But the last couple of days, everything I seem to talk about with other people is accessing their genius.
Yes.
And it's so interesting. But everything you've basically just talked about is exactly about that. And it is just so interesting that this has been on air somehow. The subject matter, what is human genius and how we access it.
Yes. How do you oh, she has again disappeared.
Yeah, she dropped again.
Connection problems. Yes, it's annoying. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. One. I just want to talk about. I'm going to introduce this. We start to question those programs, the formatting, when, like you said, you talked about midlife crisis, but it's not only in midlife. You have the development path of a human being goes through certain stages. They are transition. You first are a child, and you become an adolescent, and you're a young adult, and then you have a family. Then later on, you have like 45, 50. Usually, people start to question the trajectory they have been on, and to start to reassess their life. Do I want to do the same thing for whatever time I have left? Is this really what I want? Or do I want to do something else? And those periods are usually experienced as a crisis in a human being's life, because there's the way they have been doing things, or the way we have been doing things, is no longer working for us, but we don't necessarily know how to do anything differently, and how to behave any differently. So it's like an old way of being is dying. It really is like a dying and a new birthing process that is required, and this is usually taking place over a few months or a few years even, this transition. The transition where you are starting to ask other questions. And in my case, I started to ask myself questions kind of very early on because of some childhood kind of pains and traumas that I've been healing most of my life, and looking at so many different modalities to heal some of the stuff that was running in my subconscious. And one thing that has really brought answers for me, much more than any of the official kind of expert voice, etc., is the shamanic traditions, the traditional people from all cultures, really, which talk about the need to live in an earth-honoring, spirit-honoring way on the earth plane, that we cannot just exploit and use the earth for our benefit, because it will have repercussions 7 generations down the line. So it is like a very short-term view to think that we can just take without giving back in return to the community, to the earth, etc. And I've just started a new course right now, which is called the Universal Shaman, with a Peruvian shaman through the Shift Network. And I really, really cherish this learning, because it is helping me put this, I want to say, this cosmovision of who we are as a human being into a larger context, which is beyond the conditioning of religions, which is another formatting that keep us, all religions at the origin had a spiritual experience from whoever founded the religion. It was that heart connection, that aligned connection with the spirit, and then, of course, has been used. Those systems then has been used to create a religion, to create rules, dogmas, and to format people through fear again. So who does it benefit? Yes, you can control people better this way, but you are not training people to become original thinkers who. And I believe everybody has a piece of the puzzle and needs to start to express that piece of the puzzle. Because everybody has a different perspective, has had a different life. So if we all started to dare follow our heart and express our truth, it would paint a different picture than the conditioned picture that traditionally we have been kind of indoctrinated into.
Absolutely. It is really becoming, I guess, one of the other main messages is literally the co-creation.
Yes.
And it's this idea where we now are capable of fully embracing this life where we don't need to compete. There's no reason for us to have the winners and the losers. And to your point, is there any use for us to have the experts? And if there is, then what does it mean? Should we maybe reconsider of what that means for us? And this is just all of these things, including what you've just described, and it's really fun about the Peruvian shaman, I went to Peru less than a month ago. I was in Peru for the first time.
Really? Oh,
And you know, it was truly, I mean, I guess again, just by the nature of how I choose to live these days, especially when I travel, you know, really focus on connecting with the earth and allowing myself to feel and sense and perceive, you know, the different vibration. Because the thing is, we might deny it, but this is how we learn. The information comes in not only through the five senses that we think, or not through the verbal channel, but the majority of information comes in as a vibration.
that's right.
And it's just it was just amazing. I mean, it was literally one of those things. It's the land in there is amazing, and I was lucky enough to visit Sacred Valley, and we went to Machu Picchu.
Oh, yes.
And it's just, you know, it's one of those things, you know, when you are able to perceive it and receive it, you know, this power of those spirits. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's
Yes.
absolutely phenomenal when you allow, you know, and it's so interesting, you know. Harriet was sharing with us the co-creative process. Even in, you know, in her process, it's very, very clear, the message that when you ask the question, you drop it to the earth. You don't look up in the sky, you drop it to the earth. And that's one of the other messages I keep hearing, that when we're talking about, we'll start talking to this about this connection with the earth, because we are embodied in this 3D dimension on this planet. It's Pachamama, as they sing in Peru. It's Mother Earth.
That's right.
That's what it's all about. It's all, you know, it literally, if you want material things, you have to ask the earth, because this is where it's born from. This is where the origin of this is going to be. And it's just so, you know, it's just so incredible how, you know, because, you know, people like you and I and all of our wonderful, you know, members of our circle of wisdom, and, you know, other places where we meet all those people who we see eye to eye, the way we choose to evolve and develop takes us to those places. But what I also enjoy saying is that a lot of times we hear a lot of coherent messages, you know, like in this case, this connection to the earth. It's just amazing. This is a relatively new concept for me. When I really, you know, when I really want to be aware of this connection, and how I can experience it deeper. And here you are talking about this Peruvian shaman, and, you know, connecting to the earth. It's so interesting, very, very interesting and inspiring for me.
Yes, and I believe the chakra, the heart chakra of the earth, is in Peru. No, I'm.
Wow.
But this is. It has, you know, like in 2012, you were hearing, and the years moving up to, you were hearing about the pole shift of the earth, etc. But really, what was happening is that heart chakra was in Tibet for a very, very long time, and it has shifted to be South America right now. So.
How interesting.
And you do have places on the face of the earth where you have that resonance to heart stronger than in other places. And, you know, those are the earth has chakra points. The earth is a sentient being, really, but this, our conditioning has never taken that into account, that the earth is a sentient being. That's why we have exploited the earth. Industry has exploited the earth and has not realized. And what is happening really, the awakening up of the earth, the flooding,
yeah,
all
those natural, all those natural disasters and
it is to wake us up also. I mean, the earth kind of revolting for
she's had enough. She's had enough.
We are too disconnected, and sometimes it is only through very difficult experiences that we get startled into our programmed, rigid structure, where we have to kind of, it creates, trauma sometimes creates a shock where we have a possibility to reassess the way we've been behaving and operating. So all that is, So, and when we briefly connected on Thursday, I think you were telling me about your work and the conscious work of shifting the cultures in an organization. That's where you are involved in, right? But really, it's what is emerging for me when you're talking about that, that culture has to internally shift before we can change it out there. I don't know what is emerging for you on that topic. I would be interested to kind of hear you say something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, see, the important understanding and awareness that I received quite recently is that we can't, all of the things that we're talking about, we cannot push it, and we cannot change people's minds, and we cannot, it's not about, coming out there and fighting for it, or, it's not, because in my early days when I was coming out and, becoming more aware myself, I was lost in the sense that I wasn't sure how do I take this message to other people? How do I fight for what I believe, or for what I think is important? How do I get my message across? And I've come to understand, I've become aware of the fact that the best thing we can do is just show up authentically and speak our truth. So I guess you can say that there's a bit of courage involved in that, in a human sense of things, but it's actually beyond. To me, it's actually, it's kind of become beyond courage. It's like, do you know what? This is who I am, and this is what's important to me, and I don't have any reason whatsoever to hold this back. I am going to show up, and I'm going to speak my truth. If you don't like it, happy days. I'm not here to tell you I'm wrong, or you're wrong, or whatever. You really start living this co-creative process where you choose not to conflict. You choose not to oppose. You choose not to fight anything. You just show up and you speak your truth. And it's quite amazing how once I've stepped into that, into that vibration, into this awareness, very interesting things started happening, or to be more precise, I've started creating my life from a very different space, where people who show up see me and I see them. And a lot of times it's a perfect match. Without even starting a verbal dialogue, we already know that ultimately we're about the same thing, and we're about the same stuff, and we're trying to create a similar thing. So it's kind of like, when you stop fighting internally, when you ease into being yourself, when you ease into this essence of you and you just start living it, everything comes with ease as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's called acceptance. It's called self-acceptance. You know, when you accept something that up to now you had been hiding, or you had been attempting to show differently because of the norms out there, etc. When you accept a part of yourself that you had not accepted before, for whichever reason, and it opens up the world of possibilities to you. And it's a key in the process of liberation and change to reach the stage of self-acceptance. You know, it's it's on the journey to self-love, really. You know, it's an act of self-love to accept yourself. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautifully said. It's absolutely beautifully said. And you know, in my vision, you know, this world that I know I want to create is where this is the culture. Exactly what you've just said. This is going to be the norm.
Yes.
You know, and everybody wakes up to this, and it's so easy. Like, I don't know, it just becomes so easy when you choose to take yourself out of judgment.
Yes. Yes.
You judging yourself and others, and you choose to see yourself as a contribution and choose to see everybody around you as a contribution. It's absolutely, it's an incredible world. Like, you can create the world from a completely different space, where I literally these days I see every single person as a contribution.
Beautiful.
And I choose to see myself as a contribution to them. So, you know, staying in the question, because to me, that's the essence of the co-creative process. When you stay in the question, what can I be? You know, what contribution can I be to these people? And what contribution these people can be to me, so that we can create together something greater.
Yes.
Than either of us individually. And it's like I said, it's been quite phenomenal. I'm so grateful that I'm meeting, you know, such amazing people in my life, that I can share this with. And I do have a very strong sense that, first of all, our numbers are actually much larger than I thought, you know.
Yeah.
And now people are coming out more and more in this authentic power, and you just all of a sudden realize that, well, we've been here all this time, and we're all together, and we can connect in that beautiful, you know, absolutely amazing, revitalizing way. You know, quite literally, you know, you meet the person for the first time and you have this connection, which is very different from what we've been entrained and programmed to believe, that, you know, this is how humans should relate to each other. And, you know, you have to, I don't know, have this period of getting to know each other and blah, 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 all of these kind of things, you know? And it's like, wow, no. I mean, yes, that if this is what you choose to do, that's fine. But you can live in a completely different world where you choose to see everyone for their true beauty. You see that essence in them, which is their unique vibration, and you appreciate it. And that is a completely different relation.
Yes, you connect at the level of being, you know, rather than at the level of mind, because judgment keep you locked in the prison of your mind and in the conditioned programs of the mind. So you're not free.
Exactly.
And then you don't have the power. The power is outside of yourself, on the judgments that you project on other people, because whatever you judge about yourself, you project on other people. So it's that same kind of mirroring that happens. But if you are in self-acceptance and self-love, then you show up differently and you mirror a different world around you, and it creates a different atmosphere. You know, it's a different imprinting on the culture around you, on the family that happens. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, that's lovely. You know, I'm just looking at the time. We have already talked an hour. I would like to conclude this hangout, and I would like to. I'm going to stop the broadcast in a minute. I would like to ask you something off broadcast, if you could stay
Yeah.
on for a minute. And
Absolutely.
so I'm really glad that we had this connection, Ali, and this
Yeah.
timing I had set up really for you so that you can participate. And
Thank you so much. So
so
kind.
I really appreciate that you showed up, and I'm realizing every single time I am breaking through and free a little bit more myself of my own programs. So it's a mutual affair, you know. It is not,
Yeah.
everybody benefits, and that's really what it's all about.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So I'll be in touch with a timing for the next one, and
Sure.
thank you. And
Thank you
also,
so much, Aline.
yes, and for all the people who are going to watch the replay, I invite you to let me know if you want to participate in the film strip. To just email me, and I will include you. All right. Thank you for now.
Yay. Bye-bye.
Bye.